The following is a special presentation of the First Horizon Green Sports Zone. This is the Gary's Paint and Body Shop Stephen Gregg Show. Welcome back to First Horizon's Green Sports Zone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Gary's Paint and Body Shop Stephen Gregg Show, where we cover everything on the court with the South Greene Lady Rebels basketball team. We'll recap the past two games to close out the regular season with Crockett and Chucky Doak and look ahead to this week's District 1 2A tournament. But as always, we need to get a brief word in from our sponsors first. We'll be right back after these messages here on First Horizon's Green Sports Zone. The Gary's Paint and Body Shop Stephen Gregg Show is brought to you by Gateway Ford Nissan, Tommy's Plumbing, Gary's Paint and Body Shop, and by First Horizon Bank.
Twist on your typical banking options. What if instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you had one bank that's the best of both? That's First Horizon. Big bank muscle with small bank hustle. Big bank convenience and small bank connection. When the best of big meets the best of small, you get it all. To help you on the road to your horizon. First Horizon Bank.
Welcome back to First Horizon's Green Sports Zone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Gary's Paint and Body Shop Stephen Gregg Show, where we cover everything on the court with the South Greene Lady Rebels basketball team. As always, I'm joined here with Lady Rebels head coach Stephen Gregg. How you doing today?
Doing good. How about you, Tyler?
I'm doing good. First question I got to ask. It's that day, it's that week, it's district tournament time, the postseason's upon us. How are you feeling?
Anxious, nervous, and a whole bunch of emotions all into one. Nerves. You just don't know what you're going to get from day to day. But everything we've done up to this point is merely just practice, and now it gets serious and fun, and they mean a little more from here on out.
You have three seasons. You have the preseason, the regular season, the postseason, and this is the one that matters the most. Luckily, you're not in a play-in game, so you're already locked into regions with that number one seed. And to get that number one seed, you had to beat Chucky Doak on Friday night. We'll get to that one in just a minute and spend some time on it. But we've got two wins to talk about this week. We previewed Crockett and we previewed Chucky Doak last week. The Crockett win, starting out with it on Thursday night, senior night. Always a good night. Large group of seniors for the Lady Rebels, and they all get to leave the last regular season game happy with a win over Crockett, and a big win at that, a 15-point margin. So how good was that to get a win on senior night for them?
It was great, because that's a game that they'll remember. But anytime you can avenge a loss, and that was one that we've had on the calendar for a while. We went up there and didn't play our best, and you look back on the scope of the season, there's a few games here and there that you'd like to play over again, and so when you can get your revenge, it's bittersweet. And I'm losing 9, and they're all 9 special. They've all stuck it out in the program, and due to our numbers being small, I've never had to cull kids out. You never hear of a team having 9 seniors. Usually the most I've ever had is like 4. So the future looks, sort of like tabula rasa. It's a blank slate. We don't know if we're even going to have enough kids to play moving forward. So we're definitely going to enjoy what we got here with what time we have left. I tell them every day we're on borrowed time.
And you get that win on senior night also, and you avenge that loss to Crockett. So it's kind of a double whammy right there where you got both things into one. But talk about how you played on Thursday night also, because you were coming off of a loss to South Greene and you wanted to respond and bounce back from that. And you were able to with a big win over Crockett that ended up leading into a big win over Chucky Doak also, where you played well, scoring 62 and 65. So how happy were you with your performance bouncing back from that South Greene game?
Yeah, that South Greene game, we shot 15 for 55 in our own gym, and just not shooting it well, and you're not going to beat good teams when you're not scoring at good volumes. So it was good to quickly get that one behind us and, enjoy senior night. But it took us a while to kind of shake Crockett. It was nip and tuck. It was close. And then just, I think we had 3 girls in double digits that game, and started making a few more 3 balls. And, that kind of gets our confidence going. But there was a spark there, I think, in the fourth quarter that Courtney decided she wanted to let people in the stands know who she was. And I think you said she had X amount of points over a short period of time.
I think she had 28 back-to-back here with Crockett and Chucky Doak.
Yeah, I think she had like maybe 14 or 12 points in like a 5 minute span there in the fourth quarter that really sparked us. And, we were able to get our transition game going better that day. And I remember Paisley hitting some big free throws down the stretch. And Ari and Nevaeh were making some shots. And Sam's really been gritty on defense and has been handling the ball a little better. That game she handled it better. And there's one of those games in there Sam had like a 14 rebound game, coming from the point guard position. So I feel like they're all kind of coming into their own, and it'd be real special if they can all show up on the same night in and night out.
Looking at the Chucky Doak game, it's kind of a lot of those same things that carried over. Not only were you able to get into the 60s again, but Courtney Bailey again, another 28-point performance. Paisley Brobeck again hitting big free throws down the stretch. And then Ari Hosey again hitting big three-point shots, hitting 5 in total. So you needed all that. Chucky Doak played maybe their best game all year. It gave you a real challenge there at the end, but you were able to hold them off to secure that #1 spot going into the district tournament and that sole possession of the regular season championship. So when it was all said and done on Friday night and the dust settled, how did you feel?
I felt relieved, to win the conference outright, #1, but also just a relief from having to play 5 games in 7 days. And, I thought maybe a lot of it was our kids' legs, not to take any credit away from Chucky Doak. If that was their best game of the year, they really put up a fight against us. And so I'm not going to say, they're not deserving, but I got girls that they couldn't just keep up on the big floor there. And I had to adjust our defense. And, I look up, and our man press was not close to what we had going on here when we played them with fresher legs. So we realized there that we needed to just back up and play some more half-court stuff. And I felt like Chucky Doak was more comfortable in us having to structure our defense, or at least it looked like they were comfortable. They probably hit 10 or 11 threes that game in their own gym, and that's what you're supposed to do when you play at home. You're supposed to shoot a high volume, and hats off to them. So I feel relieved that we've kind of got that pressure off. Now we got the 1 seed, we got where we want to be, but now we can rest a little bit too. And we've not been doing a lot of up and down stuff in practice. We're just trying to preserve legs and keep kids healthy, and hopefully start making some more shots and start to see those results in the games moving forward.
Talking about the Chucky Doak game also, it's a game that you could never distance yourself. You got up by double digits 3 times, and they were able to knock it back down to, I think, a 1-possession game every time. But you were able to survive there at the end. A lot of drives there at the end of the game that could have went either way, but they went your way in the end. Talk about some of those stretches right there where Chucky Doak just wouldn't ever go away, and you all had to gut it out.
Yeah, the first time was right before half. We're up 26-16. I feel like we're about to step on the gas and run away with it. And we're played with our third starter with 2 fouls, so we're having to put kids on the bench. And, you don't look at that necessarily as an obstacle. You should look at it as an opportunity. But our chemistry wasn't there, and we couldn't get going with that lineup in there. And I think they went on a 13-4 run to be up. We were up 1 at half, and I felt like, moving forward, you may roll the dice and play one of those 3 instead of putting all 3 of them down, or maybe play a couple. You hate to, but we're not that type of team yet that really knows how to finish people. So when we got that momentum, I hate sometimes just to set them down, but that's kind of where they learn. You try to quit having the petty fouls, and occasionally if a kid gets called, bad breaks go their way. You feel bad for the kid, but they still need to sit there because it's not teaching them anything if they're being able to play with 2 or 3 first half fouls. And I've always kind of been that way, but as the games get more important, maybe you roll the dice and keep kids in there to keep that momentum going. So, hats off Chucky Doak. They had to make the shots, and they did. And they made it interesting at half. And then we came out and got on another run, and I think we got up 11 or 12 again. And then we had, Coach Alt counted 3 straight empty possessions where we come down there and just turn it over, and that leads to points for them. And they had some kids. I know one kid in particular, freshman, knocked down 4 threes for them. The Holyfield kid, and they had 4 double-digit scores, so that was pretty balanced out of them. But it seemed like every time we had them on the ropes, some of that was their defense too, I guess, causing us to make some turnovers. So it wasn't completely on us, but the unforced errors we've got to stop doing moving forward. Some of those things we can control, but it was 3 times that it looked like we were up, and then here they came. It looked like we were up, and here they came. So you want your kids to start peaking this time of year. So I think it'll be an interesting district tournament, and can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, you got a lot of teams peaking at the right time. Arguably, you all have played some of your better basketball coming off of a 62 and a 65-point back-to-back stretch there with 2 wins to close out the regular season. Unicoi County has won 7 straight district games, and then Chucky Doak, as we mentioned, arguably playing the best basketball that they played all year. So you want to be playing it at the right time, as you mentioned right there, and you've got some teams that are doing that. And I'm sure, as you mentioned, you've got a lot of emotions going into it. I'm sure excitement is one of those. I know I feel a lot of excitement going into it. It actually starts tonight, but not for the Lady Rebels. The Lady Rebels will play Saturday. They will play the winner of tonight's game between West Greene and Chucky Doak. We'll talk a little bit about the District 1 2A tournament in the back half, but as always, we need to go ahead and get a break in. So we'll be right back after these brief messages to talk about the postseason here on First Horizons Green Sports Zone.
Here's a twist on your typical banking options. What if instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you had one bank that's the best of both? That's First Horizon. Big bank muscle with small bank hustle. Big bank convenience and small bank connection. When the best of big meets the best of small, you get it all. To help you on the road to your horizon. First Horizon Bank.
For over 30 years, Tommy's Plumbing has proudly served the Tri-Cities with a personal touch because we're not just plumbers, we're family. From simple faucet repairs to full plumbing repiping, we have the experience and expertise to get the job done right. We also specialize in water heater and tankless water heater installations, helping you find the perfect solution for your home. Our technicians stand behind their work and always leave your space clean and spotless. Looking for a plumber who's fast, professional, and reliable? Call Tommy's Plumbing and let our family take care of yours.
At many dealerships, you get what you'd expect. Games, gimmicks, and shady sales tactics. At Gateway Nissan in Greenville, expect the unexpected. Low prices, convenient service, and a great buying experience.
Get our Gateway exclusive lifetime powertrain warranty.
No worries for life.
You deserve the unexpected. It's the #1 reason you gotta get to Gateway.
Shop online at GatewayNissanGreenville.com.
Or take the super short drive down Highway 11E to Gateway Nissan in Greenville.
Welcome back to First Horizons Green Sports Zone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Gary's Paint and Body Shop Stephen Gregg Show, where we cover everything on the court with the South Greene Lady Rebels basketball team. As always, I'm joined here with South Greene head coach Stephen Gregg. So we talked about it a lot already. Postseason's upon us. The District 1 2A tournament actually tips off tonight. Actually, by the time this has released, we'll already know the winner. So we'll go ahead and preview both teams. I don't ever like to preview a game where you don't know who you'll be playing yet, but luckily it's two teams that you've already played last week. You played West Greene as recent as last Monday and Chucky Doak as recent as Friday. So two teams that you're obviously familiar with, but you've played them pretty recently too. So what can we expect out of either matchup?
It looks like both of them do two different kind of styles. Chuggadook's going to play more of a man, and West Greene's going to play more of a stretch 2-3, and they both showcase some pieces that can score. I think it could be, depending on who all plays on both sides. So I hate to make a prediction on who would win because it is two contradicting strategies.
Styles. Yeah.
And it is at West Greene, so I'm sure West Greene will shoot it better there. And but at the end of the day, it's still going to be a good old cross-county rival, and this one has more implications because it's win or go home.
And looking at it too, I'm going back and looking at the previous champions, and you were on top the first 2 years when they created this new conference and the new realignment. And Hampton came in the last 2 years, took the crown from you all. Hampton has since went back down to 1A, and that's opened it up to be crowned a new champion this year. So what would it take to be able to get back on top right there and make it back to the mountaintop and win another district tournament?
I mean, you take it just game by game, but Unicoi, I felt like is one of the favorites coming in preseason because I watched them play middle school and I knew what kind of team that they would have, what kind of pieces they'd be working with. I mean, we've got a lot of seniors, but they have a little more ability to do some things with their size than what we can do right now. So I hate to see them go on a 7-0 stretch in the conference, but I'm not surprised because I expected it. It makes that first game we played with them first of the year, that overtime win was a huge one.
More important.
Because if we didn't win that one, then it's it could be a 3-way tie. But
in that 3-way tie, you would have been third.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy to think of how important the first game of the district schedule can be, but you kind of see it right now.
Yeah, that was a huge game, and I don't think our girls realized how big of a monumental win that was to get going in the right direction.
And then it's a question I've asked every coach this week too. You go into the district tournament, you've got many emotions. I want to ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your excitement level?
It's got to be up there. This is tournament basketball time, and it don't get better than that. So each round, the excitement goes up. But there's a whole lot of psychology that goes into that too, trying to get your team ready on the physical part and the mental part and then the emotional part.
And the travel.
There's just so much to a season, but hopefully a coach can get across to their team what is important at the time, and that's to win each game moving forward to get yourself a better seed for the regional tournament.
The last question I have in this 2-part question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous are you?
Nerves don't really hit me. I mean,
so no nerves out here on the south side of the county. Terry said a 3.
I get, I guess, more stomach issues on game day, more so that I don't feel like I have direct control over it. When I played, it's just a different emotions. Like when I played, I felt like I could control it. But when you coach, a lot of times it's kind of playing the hand you're dealt. So I guess it's more anxious than it is nerves. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but the hard part is controlling the butterflies in the kids' stomachs. Because you remember when you played as a high schooler, like just the nervousness or it could be the last, or the time's winding down. We're on borrowed time, so just trying to convey that to them is really the hard part psychologically, because you have to administer if the pressure gets too big on a kid. You don't want to just leave them out there and watch them struggle. So a lot of just chess play, just a lot of moving the chess pieces. It's basketball should have been called something other than basketball. It should have been called, I don't know, what would you call it? A game of adjustment. Let's just call it adjustment ball.
Okay.
Being able to make a change on the fly.
You got to do a lot of that.
Yeah. So basketball. Yeah. Let's just change it to adjustment ball. Yeah.
Good news is for you, you got a lot of seniors who have had this experience before. You got a lot of seniors who have played in these games before. I know Courtney Bailey has played in it 4 years. Sam Birdwell has played a lot of that too, and you've got a lot of other girls that played a lot last year too. So you've got the senior edge in a lot of departments going into this, a lot of the experience in that too. So it'll come down to Saturday. We'll look through the bracket real quick before we go. I know we won't know the winners of these games, but tonight you've got West Greene hosting Chucky Doak at 6 o'clock, and then Unicoi County hosting Happy Valley also at 6 o'clock. By the time this releases, both of those will be done. So the winners of those games, the winner of West Greene and Chucky Doak will play South Greene. And that will be Saturday at noon. The winner of Unicoi County and Happy Valley will play Johnson County following that Saturday at 1:30, and then the championships will be Monday night. It'll be at 7:30, and then the consolation at 6 o'clock. So it'll be a 3-day tournament with 2 days being at Westridge. So that's the host site this year. Never been to Westridge before.
Never stepped in the doors myself.
That's crazy. I've been a few times, but I know South Greene, never been. So it's a question I asked Hosey too. How much different is it playing at a site that nobody else has really had experience at before? It's kind of like a true neutral court.
Yeah, it is, and that's how it should be. You know, nobody should have home court advantage at this juncture of the season. But
for some reason, I'm wanting to think Unicoi County has played there before, but off the top of my head, I can't remember if any team ever has. But this is about as true as a neutral court as you'll ever get, considering it's a new school that nobody has really played at. So it all comes down to this week. By the next time we sit down, it'll be time for regions.
yeah, I mean, you want to see your kids have more confidence at this part of the season. You know, like you said, when you got seniors, I mean, you about have to treat it like a barber. You know, you cut one and you say, "Who's next?" You know, "Who's next?"
Good point.
And that, you know, trying to get it conveyed to them that way that, you know, we'll take on anybody, but to have the confidence to finish one and say, "Who's next? Who's next?" Kind of sounding a little bit like Ric Flair here. You know, one of his one-liners is, "You can't be first, you won't be last, but you could be next."
He's got a lot of those one-liners.
Yeah.
One that I think everybody knows, to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Woo!
There's a lot.
That's it.
We could just have a whole segment of Ric Flair one-liners, but we'll just leave it at that.
Oh, yeah.
You got first practice today?
We do.
We do? Okay, so I'll let you go. Got practice here in just a few minutes, preparing for the district tournament. Saturday, noon, that's when South Greene will play the winner of Chucky Doak and West Greene. So if you got the opportunity to go out to Westridge and support the Lady Rebels as they take on another county team. But unless there's anything else you've got to add, that's all I got for you.
All right.
You got one more Ric Flair one-liner in you?
Well, let's save them for segments. Maybe
All
if we
right.
keep moving, we'll pull out some more wrestling one-liners.
We'll save it for next week.
I like Dusty Rhodes, too. So we can do something with the wrestling here.
You grew up in the 80s, didn't you?
I did.
Okay.
Good time.
Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, a little Harley race in there.
Man, we could talk wrestling for
Ricky
days.
Steamboat.
The Dragon. Yes,
There we
sir.
go.
Yeah.
That's all we got this week, though. Coach, get it done at practice. Thank you all for watching this week's edition of the Gary's Paint Body Shop Steve and Gregg Show. Look forward to seeing you next time here on First Horizons Green Sports Zone.